what God has entrusted to us. That's really what scheduling and budgeting is about. So it is spiritual. But we're going to be talking about really practical things, yet it is spiritual because it affects all the other aspects of our life. And so for us to be effective on what we would deem spiritual, we need to be effective at the practical. We need to be good stewards. So that's ultimately what we're going to be talking about. And I'll tell you a little about, first myself and Values Driven. Well, Values Driven is a ministry and a home business of the Carriers. I have 6 kids, 1 on the way. We're also missionaries, moving to Africa soon. And we're authors. We've written several books on these practical things and the spiritual things. So in discipleship, and we also do, church planting and multiplication and pastoral training. Those are some of the things we do as a family. And you could guess we're very busy people, and we have to use our time wisely, and we have to use our finances wisely because, to be honest, we don't make a lot of money doing this. We're self-funded with all our ministry, and so that's why leveraging these things is important. So my background is I have been a project manager, and right now, I'm a homeschool dad. I work from home. I've worked from home for years, and I've also, we're publishers, we're authors, and we do a lot of ministry activities, but I've also been a professional trainer for project management for a long time, and I hold several certifications in project management, and I've managed multi-million-dollar accounts and many, many people and many large projects for years. And so I've done this professionally. And I've leveraged all the things I've learned professionally to get more optimized within the home. So I'm going to be teaching some basic principles on budgets and schedules that you can use in the home. And we have some tools for you, too, that can help you maximize your efficiency and to make the most of every opportunity, like I talked about before. So, I already mentioned before, why do we want to schedule? Well, ultimately, we want to make the most of every opportunity so we can be effective on the things that we would deem more important, the spiritual things in life, because it's all for Christ. It's all significant. It all has eternal significance. So we want to look at that. So as far as scheduling, what are we scheduling? The first thing, if you want to get organized with the schedule, you have to know, well, what are the things you have to do? And you have to look at things that are priorities and things that are discretionary, and then you have to really budget your time. So when we budget money, it's easy because you can see how much you have. Well, with your time, it's finite too. There's a limit of how much time that you have. And at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, there is enough time in your day to do every single thing that God wants you to do. Let me say that again. There is enough time in your day to do every single thing that God wants you to do. He made the amount of time. He made you. He knows what's on your plate. Guess what? If there's not enough time, there's either some things that He doesn't want you to do, or else your standards might be off too. You can say, well, I know I have to clean the whole house. Well, maybe your standards are not His standards right now. Or all the different priorities. So we're going to go into some of the spiritual aspects of it. So what to schedule? You have to look at all the things that you have to do. And then who's going to do what? You have to assign resources to the different things. And these are business principles, again, but in the home you have limited resources. Who's going to do the different things? And we'll talk about that. And then when? You have the frequency and how long. So you have both the duration of a task and then you have the frequency of a task. Well, how long does it take to clean a bathroom? Well, an hour to do all the bathrooms in the house. Well, how often do you need to do it? About once a week. Well, if it was an hour and it was every day, it's very different than an hour once a week. So you have to look at the frequency and the duration for all the things you have to do. And then how to do it. Some of the practical things, multitasking, and integration. When I say integration, most people mentally, in a Western culture, you think of balancing things. And when you think balance, you're always saying, I do this or that. You balance work and family, which is kind of never working and family at the same time. It's two different things. So you think integration. How can I manage the home, prepare the meals, and homeschool at the same time? Do I have to block out different pieces of time for each, or can I do them all at once? Can you integrate life? Can you bring some worksheets while going to the grocery store? Absolutely. Can you homeschool while doing groceries? Absolutely. Can you do ministry while you're at the grocery store? Absolutely. Integration is the key, and that's optimizing your time. So utilizing the time that God has given you, to the best of your ability. And that's so integration is one of the things that's important because our mindset is always balancing. It's this or that. You always think you have to make a choice, but the reality is it's not work, family, rest, and ministry. They're not 4 different things. By the way, those are the main aspects of life. It's really all of them. You can do them all at once. And that is kind of the holy grail of home management, to be able to work from home, have a family business, and have it be ministry-oriented. Because then you're doing it all. But the reality is you can do it all. You can be in the workplace and you're still doing ministry because you're shining the light of Christ in a dark world, and you can still minister to the needs that are there. And you're earning money for the family. And, so it's all integrated. Think integration. And that's how you can optimize your time. So, but starting with the what, here's real practical. So you have to compartmentalize life. And this is just a breakdown. It's called the work breakdown structure in the professional world. So you take all the different things that you have to do when you start scheduling. So you want to start a schedule. These are some of the tools that you'd use to start a schedule. You start and look at the different aspects of life. Can you see this, or should I shut the light? Okay, there's no little. It's just on or off. If you can turn the light off, that'd be good. Thank you. So you have the different aspects of life. Some of the core quadrants of life. You have work for income. You have work for home management. You have work. Homeschooling is work. You have different things that you have to do in labor. And then you have family needs, relationship building, maintaining your marriage, child training, discipling your children. These are family needs that are real needs. And then you have spiritual needs, both in personal devotional time. You might have evangelism and different aspects of doing kingdom work. Those are things that are things that you need to invest in, time needs that you have. And then rest. Well, we go to sleep every night, don't we? Okay, and we rest. You look at the pattern that God set. Is 6 days on, 1 day off. And that's the pattern that is set. So rest is a necessity, both to reinvigorate you, to give you the rest that you need, so that you can be more effective. If you neglect rest too long, you will burn out and you'll be grossly ineffective in the first three things. So it's a priority. So you have to keep things, and that includes nutrition and exercise. So these are things you have to make time for, otherwise you will burn out. Okay? So that's the priorities. And so we're going to take one of these groupings, and we're going to look at how it breaks down into the minute details that you can put into a schedule. Because you can't put those four big things in a schedule. So you look at work. Work will be home management, work for income, and homeschooling. You might have more categories. Those are some basic things that we all have to do as homeschooling parents. And so typically in a homeschooling environment, you might have dad working for income outside the home. You might have mom have a side, home business or something, or maybe she works part-time outside the home. I've seen a whole bunch of different colors and different ways of doing it. There's a lot of options because you have necessities. You have to meet the core necessities to make it financially. Well, home management, you have all the different aspects of home management. Keeping the home clean, preparing meals, and we break that down, actually. So home management, some of the categories for home management, keeping the house clean, meal preparation, property maintenance, childcare, all the different things with managing a home. It might be paying the bills, budgeting, all the different aspects that are not there, handling the mail and the logistics of all that. And then if you break down cleaning into the different categories, you look at all the different things that you do for cleaning. And so you break it down to the minutia. And those are the items that you can schedule. You take it down to the common denominator, the least, all the way down. And so if you break down bathrooms, you look at all the different things you do for bathrooms. And those are the things that you might want to put on a schedule. And you say, well, how am I going to fit those things into my day? And so that's the basic work breakdown, and you do it for all the categories of life. And this is a starting point for a schedule. Okay. Now, I'm going to get into a little later. Scheduling is a process that you want to do to develop discipline. So scheduling is something that looks overwhelming at first, but it's actually a step in the process of becoming better stewards of your time. Because scheduling is not the end. It's a means to the end. And the end is a disciplined life where you can actually be led by the Spirit and flow more, being Spirit-led and accomplishing all the things based on routines. Routines is where you want to be, but sometimes it takes 2 to 5 years of living under a pretty rigid schedule to develop good routines. How long does it take to get in a good exercise regimen? A long time. I've never been able to do it, you can tell. But so the reality is it's hard to develop good habits, and that's where you want to be, because you obviously want to be available to do the things that God wants you to do when He wants you to do it. And if you're married to a schedule, it can become an idol. So the schedule is there to produce the discipline in you so that you can be committed to doing the things that you need to do and the things that He wants you to do. Otherwise, If you say, these are the 3 things I need to do this morning, but all of a sudden somebody knocks on the door that really needs, your attention, well, you don't want to say, no, I got the schedule. So it's a tool. It's a tool for our benefit. We are not to be enslaved to it. Okay. So once you identify your different tasks, your work breakdown, like we just did, and that's a basic work breakdown, then you're going to start to look at how long does a task take and how often do you need to do it. Cleaning a bathroom, like I just said, an example. You do it, a different frequency, once or twice a week, and then how long does it take? And then you have to fit it into your time. Okay? And then you're going to look at, identify your resources. Who is going to be doing what? And within the home, you have different resources. In our house, all